Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam.
Okay, let's start our class. So we have so far 8, I think.
No, we have only 6 participants, and 3 of us we are the admin for this course.
Okay.
We can wait another 2-3 minutes, then we can start.
Okay, so we'll wait for two more minutes and inshallah we will start. Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. So I welcome you all for this course on mobile development using Flutter. So before we start, I will just take a couple of minutes to introduce myself. You have already seen my name, Mohammed Tanvi Parvez. I am working as an associate professor of computer engineering in Qasim University. And I have been working with Flutter. There's a lot of history why I am working with Flutter, but we'll not go into that. So around, you can say 2019. From 2019, I have been working with Flutter, and so far I have developed 2 applications which are available in Play Store and App Store, Google Play Store and Apple's App Store, and both of them are related with Quran. One of them is called With the Quran. It's mainly for learning memorization. And the second one is more recent, which is called the Surah app. Maybe many of you have heard this one, especially those who are in Saudi Arabia. They are familiar with the Tafsir Center in Riyadh, Markaz Tafsir. So I have been working with them for some time to develop the Surah app. So these are the 2 apps which are developed using Flutter. Why we are mentioning it is these apps are developed by Flutter. So it's a good to install one of them to see like what kind of functions we can implement using Flutter. So let's go now to our main issue of Flutter. So let me share the screen. Okay. Can you see the screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Good. So if you have any question, you can write on the chat also, if needed. Or you can speak by microphone, no problem, inshallah. So for developing in Flutter, we should start by knowing what is Flutter. And to know more about Flutter, the best is to go to this website called flutter.dev. As you can see in the screen, flutter.dev. So this is the most reliable place to know the most recent information about Flutter. To say quickly what is Flutter, Flutter is actually what we say cross-platform development. Like we had a survey for this course I sent you in the group, and around nine of you filled it, and I saw some of you have experience with mobile application development. And those who have experience, you know that normally for Android we use Java or sometimes Kotlin if it is a more newer development. And for iOS, for Apple, previously we used Objective-C, but now they are promoting Swift. So the concept of cross development came here because, you know, it's not very easy to use two code base for the same application. For example, you have an application and one code for iOS, another code for Android, and a third code for Windows, a fourth code for Mac, a fifth code for Linux, a sixth code for web. So having different code base is good, but it's expensive. And it can be afforded by big companies because for each platform, we need to have programmers, sometimes several programmers for each platform. So only like big companies can afford them. So for startups and for smaller companies, Flutter is one of the very good solution. It's from Google. It's an open source project. It's from Google. They are spending a lot of effort behind this. And as you can see here in this website, flutter.dev, they have provided a lot of information. Like it's a first thing, it's for cross-platform. Cross-platform means you have the same code, and from the same code, you can generate applications which can run for iOS, which can run for Android. And also recently they have added Windows, web, Linux, and Mac. So they have this list. They have the list of which platform you can use. So it's very good to go through this website. It has a lot of resources, like as you can see in the top, especially in the documentation. You will need time to time to go back to the documentation to learn new things. Okay. So this is Flutter from Google. Now, what we will do in this course, we will try to learn some fundamental concepts behind Flutter. And if you go down, you will see Flutter uses the language called Dart. Yeah, you can see here. Here you can see Flutter is powered by Dart. So Dart is a language. It's around 9 or 10 years old. Around 2013, they introduced. So originally, Dart was designed to replace or to be a competitor for JavaScript. But Dart is mainly now used for Flutter, for web development. Not web, sorry, for mobile development. Those who are familiar with Java or C, C++, Dart will be very similar. So it's also good to have an overview of Dart language. But most of the construction of Dart language is very similar to Java, very much similar to Java. So we will not take much time in reviewing Dart. During our examples or some practice, we will explain the syntax if needed. But most of the syntax will be similar to Java. It has its own website. You can go there. And you can have a look of Dart language. Also from the same flutter.dev, we can go to Dart doc. So let's how to move it. Okay. Let's go back to flutter.dev. So have you installed Flutter? I sent you the link in the group. Were you able to install the Flutter and set up the Flutter system in your machine?
Yeah, now the installation.
Okay, you are doing the installation.
Yes.
Okay, some of you haven't. So to get the benefit from this course, you should set up the Flutter system in your laptop or on your computer. Okay. Okay, yes, you can install now or after the class. So to install Flutter, actually, it may take some time, especially if you are using Mac. So let's go to Docs and say get started, install. So this is the link I sent you before. So as you can see, you can use Flutter in Windows, Mac OS, Linux, Chrome OS. So it is better to use Flutter in Mac because if you use in Windows, then you can only generate Android apps. The iOS apps you cannot generate from Windows. So if you are planning to develop applications and release also iOS versions, it is better to use, it is not better, actually you must use a Mac machine. So like MacBook Pro or even MacBook Air will work. So it is recommended to have 16 GB of RAM, but for Mac, 8 GB will also work fine. But for Windows machines, I tried with 8 GB, but it's not good. So if you're using Windows machine, then it's better to have 16 GB RAM minimum to use Flutter development. But for Mac, 8 GB will work fine. I haven't used it in Linux or Chrome, so I don't know about them. So if you go, for example, Windows or Mac, it will show you how to install Flutter. So basically, you have to download the Flutter SDK, which is a zip file. So once you download, you can unzip it in any folder, no problem. You can unzip it in any folder. And update your path. It's not necessary for now. You can skip it. Flutter Doctor command is actually a good command to know whether everything is installed in your system. But we can also skip it now. Okay, so after you download Flutter, you need to download an editor. You need to download an editor. For example, you can use like here Android Studio. Especially those who already have used Android Studio, it's very good to use it here for Flutter. But I will show you. You need to install the Flutter plugin for Android Studio to use Flutter projects. Similarly, you can use some other editor. For example, some people use VS Code for development. But in this course, we will use Android Studio. And to run programs written in Android Studio for Flutter, you can do two ways. One is you can either use emulator. You can use emulator. Okay. So if you are using Windows, you can only use Android emulator. But if you are developing in Mac, you can use Android emulator and also iPhone emulator, or any device using iOS. Not only iPhone, you can use iPad also. iPad emulator you can use. It's all available from Xcode. So we'll come to the Mac installation, and it has the descriptions how to install the emulator. I will show you also from the Android Studio. Okay, and that's all. It's easier in Windows to set up for Flutter. But if you want to do it for Mac, you need to install first part is same. You need to download the Flutter SDK, and depending upon your Mac, the new Mac, the MacBooks, they have M1 processor. So if you are having M1 processor, okay, so then you have to download this version. Otherwise, Intel version means you have to download the other one. So after you download, you can extract it in any place. Adding to the path, it's not needed now. You can skip it. Flutter Doctor is similar like Android. We can download directly. No need to go to GitHub. Okay, so you can skip this part. Also, you can skip this, and then you can go directly to iOS setup. Now, to develop Flutter applications in Mac, you need to install Xcode. You need to install Xcode, and it will take some time because Visual Studio, yeah, it's okay. If you already have Visual Studio, it's okay. If you already have Visual Studio, no problem. You don't need to go uninstall and go again from beginning. No need. You can keep it the existing one, no problem. Okay, but if you are having Mac, then Android Studio alone is not enough. You need to install Xcode. Okay, and Xcode will take some time because first thing is it's a big software. I think it's more than 12 GB. More than 12 GB. And after downloading, it will take also quite some time to install. So you have to, if you haven't done it, you have to do it maybe in the night. And once you have Xcode, you can run the simulator for iOS. We'll show you. Inshallah, we'll also show you how to. And then you can start running the Flutter programs, inshallah. Yeah, it's more than 12 GB. Xcode. Developing for Mac is always expensive. Always expensive. You need to get an expensive computer, and even the developer account is much more expensive than Android. Like if you want to publish in Android in Google Play Store, you need a developer account. You need a developer account, and that account costs you $25. Only $25, and this is one-time payment. At the same time, if you are releasing for Apple App Store, you again need a developer account, and that account costs you $99 every year. Every year, $99 for developer account. So as you can see, that's why actually you can see that we have many more applications for Android compared to Apple. Also, previously, there were much less number of programmers for Apple App Store because the market for iOS development was limited, you can say. But with the advent of Flutter, now things becoming easier. So if you have just developer account, you can release within days for iOS. So this is a quick introduction about Flutter. So before we go into more details, do you have any questions? You can speak, no problem. If you have any question, you can speak or you can write.
I have a question.
Yes.
What's the difference between Visual Android and Visual Studio?
Sorry again.
What's the difference between Android and Visual Studio?
Oh, Android and Visual Studio.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I was reading VS Code. Yeah. So actually, Visual Studio is from Microsoft. Sorry, I misread the one of the question before. It said I was reading VS Code. Okay, Visual Studio. I'm not sure if you can run it. Visual Studio is from Microsoft. And you can develop using it in different languages like C, C# and other languages. Android Studio is from Google and it is based on IntelliJ. I think that is for Java. So Android Studio was developed for Android app development, but with different plugins, you can use it for Flutter. Okay.
Do you recommend me to use Android?
Yes.
Instead of
yeah, use Android Studio. Why I will tell you. The issue is these tools, Android Studio, then Xcode, then Flutter itself has plugin, and then we have many other dependencies. So these tools are so complex, so big. Every time there is an update in Xcode or there is an update in Android Studio or update in Flutter, sometimes we get strange issues. Even what happened once, there was an update in Flutter. It was 2.10, and I updated it and I released an update to one of our apps, and we started getting a strange behavior. Sometimes the user opens the app and the app freezes. It doesn't start. And then I spent 3 days trying to find out the reason. I could not find. Then what I did, I downgraded the Flutter, moved to 2.8, and I released the version and the problem was gone. So the bug was from the Flutter, not from my code. So this will happen every now and then, like because so many code from different parties we need to merge. So sometimes there are like bugs or issues. You have no idea from where it is coming. So why I'm saying use Android Studio, because Flutter and Android Studio, they are both from Google. So normally what they do, they maintain both. So if there is an update for Android Studio which needs an update in Flutter, they will do it because they are from the same company. But when they are from different companies, sometimes you need to wait. For example, when Apple released MacBook Pro with M1 processor, what happened that in M1 processor, we could not run Android emulators because M1 processor was new and the Android emulator was not supported by at that platform. So at that time, we had to use the physical devices, just connecting by USB cable. the real phone and testing in the phone. Then after a few months, they gave the support to run Android emulator in Mac with M1. So these are the issues sometimes happens in development. Sometimes you will spend hours after hours trying to fix a simple issue. So I recommend to use Android Studio with Flutter so that issues remain less. But you are free. You are free to use other resources. Actually, to run Flutter code, you even don't need Android Studio. You can use it. You can do it by Notepad, because the Flutter the software itself is actually based on command line. It's based on command line. So to be honest, you even don't need Android Studio. You can use Microsoft Notepad or any text editor to write code. But we use those SDK, not SDKs, the development tools, because it provides a lot of features like autocomplete, error correction, and many other things. Anyway, any other questions before we move to more details?
Yes, I have a question. If I were to develop with Kotlin, for example, how difficult it would be from being used to develop with Flutter?
Okay. So you know Kotlin, right?
Yes.
Okay. We will come to this issue. The thing is, there is a way to use Kotlin directly in the Flutter. In the Flutter program, you can directly use Kotlin based on something called like native method. Like there is a way using platform channel. They call it platform channel. You can use the native code. For example, if you are developing for Android, you can use a Java code or a Kotlin code inside the Flutter app. There is a way to do it. Similarly, if you are developing for iOS, you can use Swift code inside the Flutter code. Okay, so this is one thing. Another thing is, if you are talking about language itself, yes, there is a difference between the two, and actually there is a fundamental difference the way Flutter develops the UI. Okay, it's not like you have a button and you update the content of the button, or it's not like this. If you have already developed for Android using Java or Kotlin, you will see that the concept of state, how it manages the state and how it refreshes the UI, conceptually it is different than Java or the traditional Android development. And from my experience, I would say the concept used by Flutter is easier and faster. For example, in Java, it takes a lot of effort to run just a simple program. But in Flutter, you can do it within few minutes. And you can deploy it in a real phone within minutes. And we will see it, inshallah. Okay. So let's go to next topic. So I am assuming now we have installed Flutter, set up the Flutter. If you haven't, you can do it today after the class. Okay, now we move to Android Studio. Okay, before we move, in the same website there is a tool about Dart language, like in the same flutter.dev. Do you see this page, a tour of the Dart language? Because I changed the tab. I'm not sure whether you see the new tab or not. Okay.
Yes, we can see.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Okay. So if you are not familiar with Dart, actually, as I said, if you know Java, it's very similar. It's very similar like Java. Actually, the modern languages, they are very much similar to each other. Just you need to know how to write the for loop, how to write the if, but it's very, very similar like C or Java. Very similar. There are some differences which we will explain when the time will come. But in any case, it's a good idea to have a quick look about the Dart language. So you can go through this page. It has some examples and like the different constructions about Dart. So we will not spend time here. We'll explain when we are doing something in the code. We'll explain what does it mean. But you can have a quick look in your free time. That will be good for your development. Okay, especially how it deals with list. There is also something called set is also good, but we use map a lot, maps. So map is a very, very useful, data structure for our case. It's similar like what we say, I think in Python, it's called a dictionary. Some of you said you know Python. So Python, there is a data structure called dictionary, right? So it's very, very similar. It's very similar like dictionary in Python. In Java, I'm sure there is something like this, but I don't remember the name of the data structure in Java. Okay. So this is very important. It's similar like JSON. The structure of the JSON is very much similar like maps. Okay. And okay, some new features about Dart is a function. Like we'll see that in Dart, functions can be also passed as argument to another function. Like here, as you can see, this function takes an integer as an argument. You can send a function as an argument for another function. Like here, you can put a function as an input to another function. And this is also very useful because sometimes we need to send callback. Like you call a function and you give him another function to call when something happens. So for this purpose, it's very useful. So you need to also know about them. So it's a long document, so you can go through it once you have some time. But as I said, once we are working with the code, I will explain the language when needed. Okay. Okay, let's now stop share and can you see the screen of Android Studio, the small screen, black small screen?
Yeah.
Okay. So once you install Android Studio, you will see the screen. Definitely, you will not see those projects. It depends on what projects you have made. So once you install Android Studio, you need to go to plugin and type Flutter, and it will show you the Flutter and some of the related plugins. So you need to install the Flutter plugin in order to develop Flutter projects. So first you need to install Android Studio, and once you install Android Studio, when you open it, you will not see this button, new Flutter project. It will not come. It will not come. So you need to go to plugins and type here Flutter, and it will show you the different plugins for Flutter. So if you click install, because I already installed it, otherwise it will come like a button like this, like a green button. So you can click install. I think it will ask for also to install Dart. And some other packages you can install. As you see, I have installed few other packages, but they are not necessary. They are not necessary. The main thing is the Flutter package. And when you click it, it will ask for 1 or 2 more packages to install because they have dependencies. Like one package needs another package. So once you install it and then go back to projects, then you will see it says create new Flutter project. So once you click it, oh, the new screen came, but you cannot see it because it's a pop-up. So let me see if I can share the whole computer screen. Okay. Now you should be able to see the whole screen, right?
Right.
Okay. As you can see here, once you click this new Flutter project, once you click the new Flutter project, it will show you this screen. Okay. So it might come like this at the beginning for Java. So we will select Flutter. And if it is the first project, this will remain empty, the Flutter SDK path. So you have to select from here. You have to select by searching the folder where you unzip the Flutter. Remember, you downloaded the Flutter zip file from flutter.dev. We saw there that there is a zip file for Flutter, and you unzipped it. That folder location will come. Do you get the point?
Yes. So we must create the new folder for Flutter when we unzip.
Yes, you can create a new folder. Actually, if you unzip directly, it will unzip in a folder named Flutter.
Yeah.
If you download the zip file and just right click and unzip, it will automatically create a folder called Flutter. So,
Okay.
but you can put it in any place, no problem. No need to be with the same name Flutter. You can put it any other name. Any other name. The main thing is you need to select that main folder path here, because the Android Studio needs to find where is the Flutter. You need to tell him. Otherwise, he will not be able to compile your program. He will not be able to compile your program. Okay. So then if you click next, now you can give the name of a project. Any name you can give, like a test project. You can give any name here, but it has some limitations, like you cannot give space and some other limitations, some special characters you cannot give. So better to use only English normal letters. Project location, where it will store the project, you can select a folder, or you can accept the default folders. Or you can select from here a different folder. Description, you can later change it. Like you can write any description, like Flutter course project. We are trying to develop what? You can develop application or plugin, package, module, skeleton. Like sometimes you are not developing applications, you are developing just some code that third party will use. So in that case, you use plugin or package something. So we'll keep it application. Okay, this is important. This is later on you can change it, but it's little tricky. But normally here, this is similar like when you release the application, it will ask for a unique app ID. And Google Play Store or Apple App Store, what they suggest is you use your company name, company website, but in a reverse order. Like for example, if we are using, suppose, KFPM name, so we'll use in a reverse order. Like normally it's kfepm.edu.sa. So, but we'll write it like this: sa.edu.kfupm. So in the reverse order, because this will be used as like app ID. So the system uses this organization name, then it automatically includes a dot and your project name. We'll put it here, and then it will make a like app ID, something like it's not exactly app ID, but you can say it's an ID, and it should be unique. It should be unique amongst all the applications. So when you will upload your APK file or like application file to the App Store, it will check, and if there is a duplicate, it will reject. It will say that no, it's already taken. So you need to find another name in that case. Okay. Now here, Android language, iOS language, it's about, as I said, Flutter uses Dart. You don't need Java, Kotlin, or Objective-C or Swift. You don't need it. But what happens is internally, some of the code that Flutter generates, it can be either in Java or Kotlin or Objective-C or Swift. And also, as I said, there is a way to use Java or Kotlin or Objective-C or Swift inside the Flutter project. Inside the project, you can write code in Java and call it from Flutter, or write code in Kotlin and call it from Flutter. So that's why you need to select, like, if you need, in that case, which language you will use. So you can use either Java or something else. Better to use Kotlin Swift because they are recommended by the Apple and Google. Now, platform means for which platform we are developing. Android, iOS, Linux, macOS, web, Windows. You can select which platform you are supporting. Although they say that the same code base can generate all, but this is not fully true. It depends on the packages you use. For example, if you are using for web, some packages that are working for Android or iOS will not work for web. So it depends on actually the packages you use. So you have to like check. When we'll go to the topic of package, we will see that how to know which platform is supported. By the way, we will take a break for Salat, but because different people are from different regions, so if you need to go and pray, you can go and then join. But we will take a break around, I will say, after maybe like when we will start here in my place, Isha Salat, we'll take the break for 10 or 15 minutes and then we'll come back, inshallah. But if you are in your place, the time is earlier, you can go pray and come back, inshallah, because the recording will be available. So if anything you miss, you can check back the video and then inshallah you can cover the missed part. Okay. So we have a question. No, we don't have a question. Okay. And then no need to go for more settings. There are more, but we can skip it for now. And then if you click finish, it will create it. But I already created one just for this project. So I will cross it and I will open the Flutter training project that I created just today. Okay. So can you see the code?
Yeah, we
Yes.
can see.
Okay. So once you create a project, the Flutter will, or the Android Studio will build a skeleton app. This is actually an app. You can run it. This small number of code. How much code this is? Very small. Most of the lines are comments actually. Even with the comments, we have only 115 lines. But if you remove the comments, maybe you will get maybe 30 lines, 40 lines. But this is a running application. This is a running application. Okay, this is a running application. So the question is, how can we run it? How can we run it? We can run it as I mentioned before when we were checking flutter.dev. You can run it from either from emulator or from real device. Real device means you have a phone, you can connect to the computer by a cable, and there are some setting up things we will show you inshallah later on, and you can run directly on your phone. But if you want to do it for do it using an iPhone, oh, that needs some additional setup. As I mentioned, like developing for iPhone is always like an expensive. So you already need to have a developer account. Developer account to register your phone so that the Xcode knows that your phone is registered to be implemented for your application. So it's a long process. But anyway, we will do it in simulator. Okay. Now, because you can see the whole screen, I will run it in iPhone simulator. So you can go to terminal. You can go to terminal. Okay. So you can write open a simulator. Open a simulator. Okay. Open a simulator, and if you press it, it will open iPhone simulator. Oh, I think I am already running simulator. So okay, let me quit it. Okay, run it. Okay, so you can see here it opened an emulator. You can select from Xcode. You need, if you want to run for different iPhone versions, iPad, you can change them. You can change, but to change it, you need to do it from Xcode. We'll show you later on, inshallah. Now, once we have this one running. Let's see this one. Okay. So we can click this button, but before we have to select that we are going to run in iPhone. We are going to run it in iPhone, and then you need to click this run button. So the Android Studio will use Xcode to compile the program for iPhone, and it will run it. And at the beginning, at the first time, it might take some time, depending upon your project. But it's a very simple project, so it will not take more than a minute, inshallah. I think less than a half minute. So it took 33 seconds. And now we are running a Flutter code. So it's so simple. Can you see the emulator screen?
Yes.
Okay. As you can see, we are running an application, and this one can be converted into a real app just by one command. So easy. So easy. That's why Flutter is so popular. But to develop something useful, yes, you need to spend time. You need to spend time. And to develop really useful things, you need to be good in mathematics also. Mathematics, because application development is not just like plug and play, that you just drop something on the screen and it works. Yes, sometimes you can do it, but to develop something really useful, you need to be also good in algorithms, and you need to also be good in like mathematics, data structure, and you need to understand how things are happening. It should be clear in your mind how things are happening. So that will make a difference between a good programmer and an average programmer. So I guess most of you, from your experience, I see most of you have background in IT and computer science, because you know a lot of languages. I saw some of you know like 3-4 languages. Most of you know Java, JavaScript. So inshallah, things will be much easier. So this program, what it does nothing but just if you press this plus, it will say that how many times you have pushed the button. That's simple, like a counter. Like every time you press something in the plus button, it will increase the count. Okay. So let's go to the code, very simple code, and try to modify it. Okay. First, suppose we want to modify this line, Flutter demo homepage. Flutter demo homepage. So you can see here the sentence is here. So now there is a good feature in Android Studio, which is called hot reload. You can see here there is a button here like a lightning button. You can see here it's called hot reload. There is a shortcut also. You can see here there is a shortcut showing in the next to the hot reload sentence. But if you click it here, Flutter will reload the program, and you can see the name has changed. The name has changed. Okay. It's so simple. Okay. If you want to change this background color, so it's by default, it's blue. Suppose we want to make it like a green. So it's called theme. You can see here something called theme. So theme is a very, very powerful class. We can make dark theme, light theme, and we can have our own custom theme. It's very powerful, but it's little advanced topic. So we may discuss it later on if we have time. So if you say make it green, you can see that the good thing about using Android Studio or this kind of modern editor is if you press dot, it shows you all the colors available. Like similarly, like if there is an object, if you press dot, it will show you the object functions and other things. So it's good to use those editors, but as I said, you can use Notepad. You can use Notepad to write code. But anyway, so we suppose we want to make it red. Okay, it will not look very nice, but okay, see, so it became red. So the theme has changed. So if actually you can make like this way, you can make it like lighter. No, it will not take it. Oh, it's also it's material color, so we cannot give it here. So we can say green. So it becomes green. So it's so simple. So you can use theme data. There is a lot of things about theme, and the colors and the design will change. Okay.
Can we use hex code?
You can use hex code, but not here. But yes, you can use hex code. There is a way to, like, for example, I will show you, like for example, where here. Suppose we can use a color, my color, colors, color from. So you can see here, you can build a color from RGBO. You can from alpha blend. Yeah. So these are the ways you can from RGBO. But there is a way to convert from hex to color. I will show you. I will show you the code. Color dot RGB. This is the most like common. You give the 3 RGB values and the opacity, and it will create a color. Okay. Are you following me?
Yes.
Does it look interesting or easier, or it looks very complicated?
It's interesting.
Until now, interest.
Interesting, huh? Okay. So if you have any question, something not clear, let me know. And once you set up your own system, you can run it and you will feel much better. Okay, that's good. That's good. Now let's take few minutes to go through the code to have an idea like how it works, because you need to understand the structure, how it works, so that you can modify it, because we will develop our own application for this like an example application by modifying this code one like step by step. So we need to understand how things are working. So like Java or C++, we have you have to include, like in C, there is include, right? Like when you include another
Right.
class, right? So
Yes.
here we say import. Import is same as include in C. In Java, what we call it? Import or include?
Include.
Include. Okay. So it's same as other languages. Just the name is different. So the material.dart is, it's a class which contains a lot of UI components. So you will always see that most of the classes that we use in Flutter, it includes this material.dart. And also there are many other like Dart files. So as I said, all the files, the extension is Dart, because this language is Dart language. So all the files, as you can see in the left side, the project structure, this main.dart you will find under the lib, And you can see there are two folders, Android and iOS, because we selected that this project will run on iOS and it will run on Android. That's why there are two folders which contains platform specific files like build.gradle, this Gradle and these things. These are common in Android. Those who are familiar with Android development, you already know that the Gradle and these manifest files, these things, these are part of in this folder. Like you can see here, it has the manifest file, Android manifest. We will see them, how to edit them and what are the meaning of different parameters here. Okay. And for iOS also there are files you need. Actually, you don't need to edit from here. You can edit them from Xcode. You can do it from Xcode. And under the lib library, lib folder, there is the main.dart. This is the file. And you can add more classes. And the name should be some name.dart, because this is a Dart file. Okay. And like C program, it's very simple. Like C program, the first function is the main function. It looks like very simple like C. It looks very similar like C. So there is a main function. And inside the main function, you can do many things like creating the global classes, objects, initializing like connections. You can do it before you launch your app. So you can do many things here. Okay. But for this simple application, okay, you don't need. Then you call run app. And run app is part of the Flutter framework. This is a function given by Flutter. So it's part of binding.dart. Okay. So this run app takes a class called my app. This is the class my app. This is my class my app. It takes, and the constant, you can remove the constant in this case, no problem. Constant means this app, this object will not be destroyed, something like this. But if you remove constant, it will not harm it, at least for this example. Okay. Now look at the class. So you are calling my app class. You are creating this object of my app class. Okay. Now, as you can see, class my app extends stateless widget. Stateless widget is another class provided by Flutter framework. It's part of framework.dart. It's an abstract class. So if your class, see, now we come in the difference between normal Java programming and mobile programming. If your class has UI, if the class is for interface, then it must extend. Extend means it's kind of implementing. So it's a keyword. It should extend either stateless widget or stateful widget. Okay, so the word widget is very important in Flutter. So normally they say that in Flutter, everything is widget. This word widget. So a widget can be stateless. So they call it stateless widget, or it can have state. That means it is a stateful widget. So if you say stateful, see it starting showing some error, because extending stateful widget and stateless widget, it's a little different. We'll show you later on, inshallah, how to use stateful widgets. So see here, it shows an error, because you cannot just use stateful widget like this. There is a you need to implement like state class. But so we'll go back to stateless. So as I mentioned, everything in Flutter is widget. Everything in Flutter is widget. So what is widget? Have you heard the name of widget before?
I think it's the sort of the shortcuts we use in our own smartphones, where
Yes.
it's like on your
Yeah.
home screen.
Yes, that, but when we say widget in Flutter, that means different thing. So in Android, they call it widget for the small app part, right? By shortcut, something widget, as you said. But in Flutter, widget means any UI component. Like here, as you can see here, there is a button here, plus this button is called floating action button. This button is called floating action button. So this button is a widget. This text 37, it's a widget. This text that shows the meaning of the number, you have pushed the button this many times. This text is a widget. This top is also a widget. This background is also a widget. You can change the background. You can put a picture. You can put an image, no problem. So everything on the screen that you can see, you can touch. Sometimes you cannot touch. Like for example, if you click here, nothing happens, right? It's not responding because it's not touchable, or it's not. We call it. It's not detecting any gesture. Okay, in terms of Flutter terminologies. So there is no callback here. So, but here there is a callback. Okay, so everything here on the screen, everything on the screen is called widget. Is it clear?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
very good.
Yes.
Now the question is how to create widget. Again, every widget is a class, because you know Python, you know Java, so you have the understanding of the class. So if you want to create a custom, like some widgets are already given as part of material.dart. Some widgets, they are classes, they're already available in the system. But if you want to make your own widget, then you need to write a class, and it should extend either stateless widget or stateful widget. We will see the difference between stateless and stateful when we will study or explain state. Okay, so the easiest one is to extend stateless widget. So stateless widget is a widget It's an empty widget. It doesn't have anything. So you cannot call stated widget. You need to implement it. Okay. So run app is taking a class. Actually, this is a widget. The whole thing is a widget. Okay. And this is the constructor. So we will go into this build function. So now our salat has started. So we can take a quick 10 minutes break. We'll pray and come back, inshallah, and restart from here. Okay.
Okay, good.
So let me stop share and pause the recording. Can you see my screen now?
Yes.
Okay. So before we took the break, we were talking about widget, right? And we said that everything in the Flutter is considered as widget. Everything that you see on the screen. Everything that you see on the screen, like a button or a picture. Anything you see on the screen, the text box, everything is widget. So the run app is taking an object of the class myApp, which extends stateless widget. Now we come to this function called build function. Okay, so any class that extends stateless widget, like here, or a stateful widget, which we will see, inshallah, must override or must implement the build function. This function is part of this abstract class. In the abstract class, it has this method, but that method is empty. So you need to override that method with the statement override, directive override at override, and you need to implement this method. This one. Okay, so the build method, it will return a widget. As I said, the whole app is a widget, but it contains other widgets. The whole app, you can say it's a widget. So it will return a widget. So when you call here my app, this object is created. When this object is created, Flutter will automatically call this build method. It will automatically call build method. Okay. Now, build method takes an input called build context. Context is a very important thing. And the idea of context is it's an object of class build context. So build context is a very important concept. For now, what we should understand is the context gives us, like, for example, size of the screen. If you want to know the size of the screen, what is the available size to you now? Then you need to know the context. Sometimes we put something inside something. So there is constraints. So the context will tell us where we are. So it has a lot of information. Like, for example, you can use different languages. Like your app can be in Arabic, in English, in Chinese, different languages. So when you when you change the language, when the application is running, you change from English to Arabic. So how you will know that the current language is Arabic or current language is English? So for those information which depends on the runtime, you need to know the context. So the context is maintained by the framework itself, and it will be provided to you during the build. During the build, when you will call the build, this function, see here, there is no call of build here inside the class. There is no call of build, but it will be automatically called. You can implement like when we will go to stateful widget, there is a init state that will be called first, and then the build method will be called second automatically. Automatically it will be called. You don't need to call it. The framework, the Flutter framework will call the build function. Okay. Now the build function should return a widget. So what kind of widget you are going to return? It depends. It depends on what you are doing. As I said, a widget is a UI component which can contain other widgets. Now, because this is the highest level widget, that means this is the app actually. This is the app itself. So that's why we are returning a material app. This is a class provided by Flutter. You can say this is an app widget. So material, why they call it material app? Material is a guideline. Like now there is version 3, I think. Material is a guideline how the app components should look. For example, like this button. Like what should be the minimum size of the button? How much space? Like this button, inside there is a plus sign. Like what is the minimum size of this button? How much space should be there between two buttons? Something like this. So these standards are part of the material specification. So they call it material app. Okay, material app. Like based on like usability, it is defined in this specification. So, but we don't need to worry now. So you return a material app. Now material app has, you can see here, it has it can take a lot of parameters. Theme, the theme is we are using, you can use a normal theme, you can use a dark theme. Okay. And there are many other things. Some of them we will use later on. So here it takes a title, Flutter demo. It's not shown here. It's internally, it's the title of the app. Theme, as I said, to affect the colors, it is global. These colors will go all over the Flutter app. Whatever color and whatever theme you define here will come here. We'll talk about theme later on because this is an advanced topic. For now, you don't need to know, but you need to know that if you want to change to dark theme, normal theme, then you need to change here. Okay, like we change the color to green. And this is the main part because this is our main application. The whole application is this one. It has a home parameter. So this is a style of programming in Dart. These are called named parameter, like a class or even a function. It has several parameters to take. Some of them you can give, some of them you can skip. Do you understand? Like, see here, it has so many parameters, but we gave only 3. So that's if you want to implement something like this. So you have a function, you have 10 parameters or 10 arguments. And the user, when they call your function, they can pass some of the parameters. No need to send all of them. If they don't send, you will take the default values. So if you need something like this, these are called named parameters. Name means by name you send. For example, you can see here, the first parameter was key. Second was global key. Third is widget. Fourth is a map. This is for routing. See here, the title, where is the title? Title came a lot later, right? In T, URST. Yeah, title here, string title. See, but we gave it earlier, then theme, no problem, because by name it will take. So this material app, this title will be this string. Then you go to the theme. Where is it? This theme will be this theme. So these are called named parameters. You can give some of them, you can skip some of them. Sometimes some of the parameters must be given, otherwise it will not take. So in that case, they are compulsory, required. You can write the keyword required. Then when you call, you must give them. Okay, so is it clear how we wrote this title, theme, home? Do you get it?
Are the parameters like the structure of the build?
Other parameters, what do you mean?
Are they like a structure?
Oh, are they structures?
Yeah, are they structures? Or
No,
do you have to use all of them?
Actually, there is no data structure called structure in Dart. If you want to use structure, you need to use map. We saw map, right? We when we saw quickly Dart language, we said there is a data structure called map. So map is like more powerful, you can say, than the C structure, the structure we study in C++. Map is very similar. Actually, it's more powerful. Yes, in some parameters can be structure like map, some parameters can be integer, some parameters can be another class, like theme data is a class. But title is a string, is a character string. But theme is it should take a class. Theme data is a class. So you need to pass an object. Now we move to home. Home is your main UI. Here you pass, see, home is what? Is a widget. Is a widget. You can see here, home is a widget. It takes a widget. You need to assign a widget to home, because the screen, what you show, as I said, everything you show in the screen is a widget. So you are telling Flutter that my home page, like it's home, like home page. When you open a website, there is the first page called home page, right? So it's the home of my application. So you are telling Flutter that the home of my application, the home page is this page or this class. So we create another class called home page. You can give another name, and it takes, and you can see here, home page is a stateful widget. Previous one was what? Stateless. This one is stateful. Okay, there is a difference between them. We'll see, inshallah, we'll understand. Okay, so you call this class which extends stateful widget, and it takes only the parameter called the title. You can use more parameters you can give, and we'll skip it now, this line. Okay, but this parameter, the title, you need to declare here as a final value. As a final value, like final string title. So it's kind of like constant, but not actual constant, it's taken by parameter, the final value. It's not changeable. Final string title. So, and it says that you must give this value. Required this, you know from Java that this means this class, right? This dot title. Key, it will be automatically passed on, and you pass it to the super. Super means you are passing it to this class, to his constructor. Okay. Anyway, when you can copy paste these lines, no problem. Actually, once you create 1 or 2 classes, if you want to create new classes, you just copy paste. It will save your time. Actually, there are some plugins which will create for you the classes. But anyway, if you want new classes, you can just copy paste and change the names. Now, if your widget or if your class extends stateful widget, then actually you need to create another class, which is the state manager of the class. And the construction is like this. So in this class, which extends stateful widget, there should be a create state function which will call, this is one line call, this in Dart. This means this function, actually this is same as this. Like if you have like one line in a function, you can write either this way, or you can write this way. Shortcut, like this is a shortcut in Dart. Like you are telling that create state is returning this class. So this is the call create state function. So when you create stateful widget, you must do it. So you can just copy paste, no problem. Copy paste, and if you want to change the name, don't change just by typing. No, it will not find it. If you want to change the name, click or select the name of the class and go to refactor. Go to refactor and call rename. Then you say no, my homepage is already there. So we say, oh, this is the my homepage. So we need to give a different name. Suppose training page. See, it changed here, it changed here, it changed here, it changed here, changed here, changed here. So it will change the required places. So if you want to create a new stateful widget, you can just copy them, copy the both classes, paste it, and just refactor the name. Just refactor the name, it will change the required places. Okay. Now, when you call my training page, it will automatically call create state, which will return the state of that class, which is this one. And this class is the state manager of this class. This is the main part actually. He will store the state and he will have the build function. See here, in the previous case, in stateless widget, we had a build function, but for stateful widget, we don't have a build function here because build function will go to this class because this class is related with this class. If you remove it, there will be an error. Okay, so now we come to this class which extends the state class of what type? Of what type? Of type of training pin. So you can copy paste them. Okay, no need to rewrite them. If you want to write a new class, just copy paste and rename the class name. This is our local variable for that class. Okay, this is the counter, increment counter. We'll see it later on. Now go to the build. As I said, stateful widgets, stateless widget must implement the build function. Must implement the build function. Okay. Now, it is returning. This is the home page. It's now we are building the whole home page. So when the Flutter framework will call this build, he is expecting this whole screen. The whole screen is built here. The whole screen is built here. Okay. There are some comments we will discuss later on. First, let me explain it. So the build method, as I said before, it should return a widget because the whole screen is also a widget which contains other widgets. Okay, widgets can contain other widgets. So the whole screen is a widget which contains smaller widgets. Okay. Now the main widget that we should return is called the scaffold. It's like a building. The word scaffold is like an English word which means something like a structure. So you are sending him a app structure.
Scaffold.
Yeah. So you are sending him the scaffold. Now this widget, see, if you don't send scaffold, then you will not have this app bar and other things. Sometimes we don't need app bar, like we want a pop-up UI which has no app bar or something. In that case, we will not send scaffold. Do you understand? We will not send scaffold. We will send something like starting from here. We'll send it. We don't need a bar or something. But if you need like a bar here, then you need to send this widget. Now this widget, as you can see, it takes many parameters, and they are named parameters. Named parameter means some of them you can give, some of them you can skip, but not everything you can skip. Do you understand? Like you must give him a body. You must give him a body. So if you need the app bar, like this is the app bar, like what you should write here. So app bar, you can see here, it takes another widget. App bar takes another widget. So preferred size widget. So there, fortunately, there is a class in Flutter called app bar. So you can call it app bar, which takes many parameters. Okay. So as I said, Flutter development, it needs like years of experience to know the different options and something. You can do a lot of things. So what I am trying to do is I am trying to guide you towards how you can learn. But as I said at the beginning, we cannot cover everything. We can cover everything, but once you start building yourself, inshallah, you can learn quickly. So app bar is a class. To make this app bar, we send him the title. What should be the title in the app bar? So the title is another widget. What should you show in the title? It's another widget. So we say that title is a text widget. And text widget, what text? Text widget takes a text. Text widget takes a data. This is the string. You must give him the string. What string? This one. This one. This one. You give him this one, which is part of the original class. Now the thing is, if you write just title, he will give an error. See here, it gives an error. Undefined name title. Because title is not part of this class. It is part of the main class, training page. Training page state is a state of this class. So how can we access this one? How can we access this one? It's very easy. There is a keyword called widget. There is a keyword called widget in Flutter. So it's a system-wide variable, you can say. So widget dot will give you everything inside. Everything inside. So if you say dot, see, we got the title. We got the title.
You mean inside the page?
No, not inside the page. Not inside the page. What we said, look again, go back to here. Here, look at. If you have a training, if you have a class which extends stateful widget. Okay, are you getting the point? Not stateless. This was stateless. This was stateless. But if you have a class that extends a stateful, it must have another class which extends the state of this original class. These two are connected. Do you get my point?
Okay, yes.
They are internally connected. Now, if you are here in the state class and you want to access a variable inside the original class, how can you access? Many times we need them. When you will do the Flutter programming, you will say in many cases, you need to access the variable which is in the main class, not in the state class. So Flutter gave a quick way, which is called widget. It's not a variable, it's like a global, Flutter level global, like a pointer. It points to what? It points to the original class. Yes, any question? Okay. I cannot hear. Are you saying anything?
About text,
Okay. So now this text is actually this text. Okay. Let's quickly see what it takes. Text. See here the title. So title text is a widget. Text. Now text has actually many things. And the only required is the string, the first string, the what you want to show. But you can give him style. For example, style. Style is a text style. And we say font size is 34, suppose. See, it became very big. Can you see here? Very big. Or suppose color, colors dot say cyan. So it became color, it becomes different. Or suppose we want to make it red. So it became red. You can make it font size, say 22. And you can make font weight dot bold. So it became bold. See, so quick. Are you following me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So it's so easy to work with Flutter. So easy. Just you need to know the things. So, and you can make it like for reformat, it will very nicely format the thing. And if everything is constant, you can put a constant, it will optimize the compilation. Every time it will create, it will use the old one if it is constant. Okay. Now, this is the app bar. Now, what is the content here below the app bar? This will go in the parameter called body. So you can see here, body, it takes a widget. As I said, everything is widget. So we are saying in the center is a widget. It will put it in the center of the screen. And center is a widget. It takes as a child. What you will center? It takes as a parameter called child. Child is a very common parameter for many widgets that contains another widget. Like a widget, if it contains another widget, then it will have a parameter called child. Do you understand? So like center is a widget. It can contain another widget. So where you will pass that widget? In his child parameter. So it has a child parameter, which is a column. Column is a widget to arrange things in a column because these two lines are in column. So in the column is another widget. And these are the parameters of column. We are saying that column should be aligned in the middle. The main axis alignment. Main axis is this one, like this main axis. Main axis. You said main axis dot center. It should be centered. If you make it like start, see, it will start from the top. Like, because this is the main axis. So you're saying start from the top or start at the end. It will start from the end, but it doesn't look good. So we make it center. If you want to make it on the left or right, center, but left, right, then there is another parameter called cross axis alignment. Cross means this is the cross. Main is the vertical, cross is the left. And you need to say cross axis alignment dot start. So it will see it starts on the left. Okay. These are different things we can experiment. Okay, let's go quickly. Now, column is a container, kind of container, which contains, when you are arranging something in the column, that means you are arranging more than one widget. That's why center takes a child, but column takes children, plural. See here, center, it has a parameter called child, but column means it must take children. Children is a list of widgets. So you need to send him a list of widgets, and list in the like Java or C, in the square bracket, you make the list. So it's a list of widgets, like here in the, you can see here in the square brackets is a list, and this in the like this, it means it's a widget. But you can skip it. You can skip it. It will automatically take, or you can keep it. It's like kind of overriding. So we can remove it, and it will work. Or you can keep it. You're telling that it's a list of widget, but by default it will take as a list of widget. Now, what are the lists in the column? What we are going to show? We are going to show this text. So this is a constant text. You have pushed button this many times, or I can say I have pushed. Then see, it became I have pushed. If you want to add a style, text style, font size say 16 or 16, so it became bigger. say font, say colors dot green, so it became green, and we want to make it bold, font weight dot bold, so it became bold. Okay, if you want to make it even bigger, you can make it bigger. So if you make too big, it goes to the next line. Okay, now you can see here it came in the beginning. It didn't come in the middle. See, it's left aligned. How can you solve this problem? Left align, there is called text align. Text align. No, not this one. Text align dot center. So it came in the middle. It came in the middle. Okay, so powerful. You can play with anything. Now, and in the second line, we need to show this number. This number is the text, is also a text, but the string is the value.
Yeah.
So there are many ways you can do it. You can either this is the counter. Every time you press this button, you increase this counter. It was originally 0, you increase it. So you need to give him a string. There are many ways. You can say counter to string. It will work. It will take the same thing. Counter to string. So you convert the value to a string. Or there is a shortcut. You make a string and $counter. It will take the value of the counter, convert it into string. It's a shortcut. But if you don't want to use it, you can simple say counter dot to string. So it will convert it into a string. And as you say, it says a style, and it is using the context style. Context style, let's keep it. It's a little advanced feature. It's taking from the context, from the theme. From the theme we made it here. From the theme we made it here. He's taking from that theme the color. It's good to use this way if you are using dark theme, normal theme, because dark theme, the color of the dark theme is different than the normal theme. So you will dynamically select the color, but we will come back later on. And finally, there is a button here. There is a button here which is called floating action button. This is called a floating action button. Floating means it floats on top of the screen. So there is a class called floating action button, and that needs a child. What you want to show here? That needs a child. What you want to show here? We are showing him an icon of add sign. But suppose you say icon dot ABC, something like it changed ABC. Icon dot say sub. So it changes. Or you can say up, upward, or arrow. There is arrow up. Where is the arrow up? Arrow up. So you're increasing the value. And it has some other values. The most important one is the value or the parameter on pressed. On pressed will take, see, on pressed is taking a function. Remember at the beginning of the class, we said that in Dart, you can send function as a parameter. Here is an example. So floating action button is a button. It is clickable. Like here, you can see we can click it. We can click it. Now, you need to tell him that when you click it or when you press it, what will happen? So this is, you pass in this parameter on pressed, and this should be a function. And this is indeed a function that we wrote here. This is a function. It's a function. It increases the counter, and it calls set state. This is a very important function. See here. If we just say counter plus plus, increase counter. Now run the program. See here, it doesn't change. It's not changing the value. Why it is not changing the value? Because you are pressing and he is calling the function, but you, after you increase the counter, you need to redraw the screen. You need to tell Flutter that please redraw my screen. So redraw my screen, how you can do it? By calling him set state. You can call it after incrementing, or you can do it inside it, but this is also okay. You need to call him set state. Set state is a function that will ask Flutter that please redraw this screen. Actually, redraw screen means please call the build, because Flutter normally will call build once, only once. It will not call 2 times unless you tell him. Unless you tell him. So set state is telling Flutter, please call my build again. So Flutter, what it will do? It will remove the screen and call the build again, and whatever is here, he will redraw it again. And see here in the redraw, we are using the last counter value. So when you do it, so it became last value, because it was 7. I pressed many times, it reached 29, but it was not shown. But now I am redrawing, so it shows 30. So this is the most basic Flutter app that I tried to explain to you. Does it make any sense? Did you get the idea?
Yes.
Okay, so today we'll try to stop here. Inshallah, we will continue from here. I will say we can stop at 9:15 to take any of your questions. If you have any questions, you can use mic, or you can type on the screen, on the chat box. If something,
I have.
yes, yes.
How can I open the emulator? What is the command?
Oh, emulator. Are you using Android or iOS? I mean, are you using Windows machine or Mac?
Windows.
Windows. Okay. If you are using Windows, okay. If you are using Windows, then go to click this button called Device Manager.
Okay.
Okay. I already created a emulator. Normally, you will not have any emulator. By default, it will not create. It will not be. There will be no emulator here. So you need to create a emulator. So in that case, where is the create? Oh, here, create device. See here, there is a button called create device.
Yes.
You click it. Now you can select what kind of emulator.
SDK manager.
No, not SDK manager. From here, from AVD manager, device manager. So, but
Which
it might not work for some installation. I remember, because with the new Android Studio, you need to configure something. But anyway, you have to click this button it will open. For me, I already created, so it shows that there is one emulator here. But if there is nothing, you can say create, and then if you're using for a phone, you can select the default given ones. So the list depends on the version of Android Studio. So for example, we are using say Pixel 5. So then you can create next. Then you need to select which Android version you are going to target. So the latest one is 33. Even I don't install it. I am running 32. So you can select the latest one. It's better, or you can select a older one, Android 12. This is a version 31 is Android 12, the latest available one. These will come as Android 13. They release earlier for the developer. They release earlier. So you can select whatever you want. Better to select that latest one, and then if you say click next, you can give it name.
Shall I click download or next? Download first.
Yeah, if it is not available, yes, you need to click download.
Okay.
If it is not available, like here, there is no next button. See here, there is no next button.
Okay.
So then click next, and you can change something here. For most cases, you don't need to change. Then just click finish. He will create it. He will create the emulator. Then it will come here, and you can start it. Oh, my emulator is already running here. It will run like this. It will run like this. So this is a Android emulator. So you can select from here that I want to run in Android emulator. And then if you click, it will compile for Android, and it will run on the emulator. Okay. Yes, inshallah, we will share the recording to the group, inshallah. See here, now it's running in the Android emulator.
Okay.
Okay. Any other question?
Mr. Muhammad,
Sorry. Anything not clear from today?
about the physical device, you will learn or not?
How to put in the physical device in the real device,
It's
right?
clear.
Do you mean how to
Yeah, you inshallah. Yes.
Okay. Yes, I can show it.
Android device, something like Android device, tablet.
Yes, inshallah, we can show it.
Yes,
How to do it? Inshallah, we can.
you
show
will learn in this course.
how to upload in the Play Store, or how to install in the phone. Because it's not clear your question. If you mean how to install how to run the code in the real phone, it's very simple. It's very simple. You just need to connect by cable and enable the debugger option in the phone, and it will run for Android. But if you are doing for iPhone, no, it needs some authentication. It's a little like longer process. But running on the on Android phone by cable is very easy, very easy. I can show it in the next class, inshallah.
Okay, Dr. Tanveer, we can have another 2 minutes and we can wrap up this meeting.
Yes. So any other question? We'll close in 2 minutes, inshallah.
in regards to UI, in the widgets part, so is a application developer is a programmer and a UI designer?
Okay, this is a very interesting question. Good question. What we do is we ask UI designer to design the screen, and he can design using different tools. For example, Adobe XD is a very popular tool for making design. So that is called prototype. We call it prototype. So once he designs the prototype, we convert it into code. There is a automatic converter, but that is not good. That will not work well. So what we do is we take the resources, the color code, the icons, and everything, and just write the Flutter code to reproduce the UI design. So this is how we work.
Okay, very good.
Okay. We have 1 minute. Any other question? Okay. So we'll stop here, inshallah. And see you tomorrow again. So hope you enjoyed, and we'll continue from here tomorrow. Jazakallah khairan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.